A question that I wanted to answer in a live event on how to be respectful without sounding submissive. And the reason that I wanted to answer it specifically was because we had so many people reply to the actual question. By the way, don't forget, if you have a question like that, put it in the comments below, and also add your Twitter profile or your Twitter username, because I have recently been answering a lot of them using a Periscope video, which I enjoy doing as well. So I wanted to answer this particular question because I didn't understand it at the beginning. I don't see the correlation from my personal experience between being respectful and being submissive. For example, the people that I know, like Crystal Dixon, who is very respectful in her communication, when people challenge her, she gets more and more respectful. And I've seen that in the savvy, powerful communicators that I know. We're on, right? Yeah. Thanks.
Let me do something.
Okay. Thank you. And oh, that made a big difference. I think that was it. The savvy communicators that I have known and witnessed throughout my life, who are the respectful communicators, they communicate that way because they know that when things start to heat up, when tensions start to rise and emotions run high, that is precisely when you need to really raise the level of respect if you want to come out on the other side as the victor, so to speak. And for me, I hope you know, it's not about being the victor or the loser, because I think that those are always going to be interpreted in different ways. It's about, communication success is about how you feel about how you communicated in any given circumstance, how you feel about your relationships. No one else can judge it but you, your success when it comes to communication. And a lot of people struggle with that because in the society in which most of us live, who are watching this, I believe, we have a lot of preset notions of what success is. I won that. I got this. I achieved this. I accomplished that goal. That means I was successful. However, that's not necessarily true, especially as we evolve more as a society. I believe as we become more mindful communicators, many people will come to me with the question, how can I say XYZ or respond to this person without appearing weak? I don't want to show weakness. Is saying this, that, or the other a sign of weakness? When I kept getting those questions, that really shifted my stance, my teachings, into a different principle. And one of the principles in the 9 principles, if you have not yet had a chance to listen to it, is, and I believe it's principle number 3, the opposite of weakness is not strength. If you look at the power that makes the planets revolve around the sun, if you look at the power that takes nothing and creates something out of it, that power is creativity. That power is not the opposite of weakness. The thing that builds things, the energy inside the force that is creation is love. The opposite of weakness is love. The more we infuse our messages with love, the stronger our messages and therefore we will be. That said, I don't mean to say that we should be going around when somebody, let's say, verbally attacks us, we should shower them with loving words. That's not what I mean. Sometimes the most loving thing that we can do is to show somebody what being respectful and standing up for yourself and loving yourself looks like. That could be, I'm walking away from you now. That could be, I'm going to show you that you don't treat me that way or that you don't treat people that way. I'm going to show you what somebody who loves himself or herself really looks like. And that might not feel very loving at the time. But, Maggie, where's Maggie? Is she here? Yes. Maggie's right beneath me today. She was the best mother. She had one litter of puppies. She was the best mother. I have a video of her, which I'm going to post, actually. I have it on Facebook someplace under O'Connor Kennels, but I'm going to post it here. And it was one of her puppies, Jack, had strayed away and wasn't eating with the other puppies. And she went over and grabbed him and pushed him in with the other puppies and made him eat. And I remember thinking how loving that was and how beautiful it was the way she treated her puppies. And when Jack, the same puppy, went away and was, found a new home, a few weeks after that, he came back to visit his mom. And I was so excited to see the two of them reunite. And I remember when Jack came into the house, he was just a little thing, and he ran in and he saw his mom and he ran up to her and she growled at him and it was the most ferocious snap I've ever seen her make at anybody. I thought she was going to eat Jack, and he ran and he hid under a piece of furniture and cowered and cried and he was like, "Why does my mom hate me?" And it was so heartbreaking. But I get it. At that point, she was being a good mother too. She was being an instinctively loving mother. She was letting him know, I don't know what her real feelings were, but she was letting him know that time is over. You and I don't do that anymore. And it hurts, by the way, if you think you're coming up to get some milk, that's not happening. I have to take care of me. But in her aggression, she was showing that puppy love and helped him prepare himself for the world that was outside those doors. That said, when you see people who are being respectful and assertive at the same time, there's no confusing it for being submissive. You will notice some people, and now I'm going to get into some specific tactics for you. You will notice that some people, when somebody starts to take advantage of their kindness or their compassion or their service-oriented attitude, you will notice that's when they start to say things like, "Yes, Mr. Hagabaga." What's your last name?
Igorado.
Hagabaga. They will say things like, "Yes, Mr. Hagabaga. I understand, Mr. Hagabaga. Thank you, Mr. Hagabaga." And that's being very respectful, but that's letting you know, I'm drawing the line. The line has been drawn. When you want to show somebody, I'm standing up to you, I'm being assertive, that's not going to fly around here, but I'm not going to lower my level of respect to yours, because that is about you. You know, how you talk to me, if it's with or without respect, has nothing to do with me. The way that I communicate with you is simply a testament to the person that I believe that I am. The respect that I'm going to show you, especially when you need it, is going to be the respect that I actually show for myself. So the more I get into arguments or tiffs or spats with you, remember, I don't want to choose my battles, because all of the battles that are given to me are mine to wage. I don't want to rise above these battles. I want to illuminate the battlefield. You know what I mean? I want to shine a new light on these issues so that they are seen from a different angle. And ipso facto, they actually change. When you change the way you look at things, when you change your perspective, the things you are looking at actually change. Not theoretically, they actually change. There's something called the observer effect in quantum physics, for example, which has proven on a molecular level, things change when they are observed by people, when people pay attention to them. So don't ignore issues. Stand up when you feel as though you need to, and do it with more respect. And here are some ways that you can do that specifically. Number one, I'm going to cover the 3 different elements to a message when we send them. As you know, there are different elements. There are verbal elements, vocal elements, and visual elements. Those are the 3 V's: verbal, vocal, and visual. The verbal element is going to be the words. The vocal element is going to be the tone, and the visual element, under normal circumstances, if we're communicating in person, is going to be our body language. So I'm going to get into the verbal element, the words that I would choose when you find yourself needing to be assertive and respectful without being submissive or being seen that way. Number 1.
Hey Dan.
Yes.
We got a tip from Jupiter.
Jupiter! Hey Jupiter! Thank you very much, Jupiter. I love seeing you. By the way, I think Jupiter and I have the same sleep schedule because we saw each other in the middle of the night. And next time, here's what we're going to do, Jupiter. I have a treat for you. I'm going to take out my singing bowl and I'm going to show it to you. And I'm going to ask you for some tips. Maybe you can show me how to use it even better. But I have a great singing bowl. Jupiter, for those of you who do not know, is a chakra master. Is that what her name is? I can't see.
Chakra Queen.
The chakra queen. And I want to do some collaboration on that if you're so inclined, Jupiter. Thank you for the tip, and good to see you again. The tone in our voice is what I'm going to start with. A lot of people, when they are being submissive, when they are uncomfortable being assertive, The telltale signs are in things that are not so much verbal, because they're things that they're not being conscious of. So for example, a lot of people, when they start to say assertive words, but they're not confident in what they're saying, they tend to end it with a question and their tone starts to go up. Therefore, when you are being assertive, practice in a no-risk situation, talking so that at the end of your sentences, the tone ends on a down note. So I might be saying to Andrew, watch the difference between this. Thank you, Andrew, that'll be all. You know, that's when people will, you notice that's not submissive. Thank you, that'll be all. Or I could say, thank you, Andrew, that'll be all. And it's not as powerful as the first one, because people who tend to speak with power and their message holds weight tend to, when they are finished with what they're saying, end on a down note. And you'll notice that a lot of people, when they are speaking, they may have a certain cadence or a tone that they use naturally when they are certain of what they are saying, when they know, I am not just whistling Dixie anymore, I'm speaking from authority because here I have dominion. That's when at the end of their sentences, it ends on a down note. Okay, so remember, when you are being assertive and you need to stand up for yourself, but you're going to follow all of the rules of respectful communication, end on a down note. And the people that are listening to you will recognize that you are being assertive, that you have dominion, and you are being in no way passive. Okay, down note. Also, remember that your body language speaks. There are different studies that show the percentage of the message that we send in person. Some people, if you've been to certain seminars or read certain books, they'll say that 7% of the message is verbal, 38% is vocal, and 55% is visual. Do not pay any attention to those statistics because they are all coming from one study that somebody did. And it's a crazy situation in which they did it, and you don't want to pay any attention to that. Just bottom line. Because when I'm sending you a message in person, sometimes the words, every word that I speak, one message or one word can ruin my entire message. In writing, for example, the whole message in one sense is words, but in a whole different sense, the reader is going to project a tone into your letters, and therefore a huge percentage of that message is tone, but you're not setting the tone. What do you do with that? Don't pay any attention to statistics is the whole point of that. But body language is super important. If you feel as though you may be seen as somebody who is being passive and you do not want to be seen as passive, you're in a management role. First of all, before I get into the rest of this, I apologize. First of all, please disregard any labels that you may have. I don't want to be seen as passive. I don't want to be seen as weak. I don't want to be seen as foolish. The only thing that you need to worry about when you communicate with somebody is, how do I feel about the message that I'm sending to this person? Do I feel good about it? Am I sending a message that is a loving one? Or am I sending a message filled with lovelessness? Because if I'm sending one that's filled with lovelessness, it is an empty message. There is no substance to it. The only thing that's real can only come from love. Anything else is just an illusion. So stop worrying about labels and what are people going to think? How am I going to be perceived? And only worry about, is the force that is the driving force behind my message real? Where is it coming from? The only way to test that is if it's a loving one. So worry about that. Remember, love can take many different forms, but the substance will be the same, love. And I might show you in a very assertive way what love looks like by being strong today. Because remember, strong and love are not correlated. Strength and love are two different things. Strength comes from love. If I want to show you that we are not messing around anymore, remember that you always want to show your chest high and up, your shoulders back, your chin, you want to keep it up, and make sure you have direct eye contact with people without opening your eyes too wide, because when you open up your eyes too wide, that shows that you are excited, maybe aggressive, and it's a sign of psychosis. You don't want to do that under normal circumstances. And when you speak, if you find that you're tilting your head to the side, remember that is showing, I'm uncomfortable with this. That is a signal that you send people that shows, I'm passive. Don't be afraid of me. I don't find a whole lot of use in messages that say, you should be afraid of me. People, find fear from different sources. I can't control that. But I don't want to send a message that says, do not be afraid of me. I will not hurt you. I am passive. that is not always a message that I'm comfortable sending. So watch your head tilts to the side. And if you are somebody who naturally tends to tilt your head to the side, or maybe when you're nervous, make sure that you tilt it forward. And finally, by the way, if you find that you are being perceived as passive or subservient or whatever it may be at work, remember your uniform. Every one of us has a uniform that we put on every day when we get out of bed. Unless you're going into work in the nude, you have a uniform. Well, that could be your uniform, depending on where you work. Everyone wears a uniform. And if you have ever put on, I'm a firm believer that Halloween is the day where most of us finally get to dress in the uniform we find most appropriate for who we are. And all of the rest of the year, we're going around masquerading as other things. But when you put on a costume, when you put on a suit or let's say a wedding dress or a groom's tuxedo, when you put certain things on, there are times when you feel very uncomfortable in it because you think, oh my gosh, what am I doing in this? I look ridiculous. I feel ridiculous. What you put on, your uniform, has an effect on how you feel, a direct impact on how you feel and how others perceive you. Clothes that make you feel uncomfortable make you look uncomfortable. Clothes that make you feel like a servant make you look like a servant. I know people who have put on, for example, I have Olga, my best friend and housekeeper. She has an apron that she wears when she works around the house. When there are some people who put it on and they look hysterical as if they're looking for somebody to give them orders. They feel that way, they look that way, because they're so uncomfortable in an apron like that. When Olga puts it on, she does not look like she's looking for orders. She's the boss. She's the boss of the house. She looks like it, she acts like it, she thinks like it, she feels like it. And when you come into work, if you're wearing a uniform, whatever your dress is, that you do not believe represents you in a commanding way, consider changing that if you can. If you can put on something else. Remember, that's why many organizations have uniforms for their employees. They want to make sure that from the moment you put on your uniform and are thinking of coming into work, that you know your place. Your place might be the lowest end of the totem pole, it might be the highest end of the totem pole. If you can do anything to shift your uniform, even though it might feel uncomfortable at the beginning, but projects more of an image of a leader, of power. If that's what you're looking for, start dressing like it. Remember to dress like the position you want, not the position you have. Unless the position you have is the position you want. Then you can dress however you feel. But the way you dress, the things that you put on are going to make you look and feel different. Sometimes I have been have you ever done this? Oh my gosh, you know. This is Andrew?
Yes.
He does this all the time. Andrew, have you ever, you think, I just need to go to the grocery store for a minute. It's Sunday morning and I don't have any eggs and I'm making waffles. And I'm just gonna run out real quick and grab some eggs. And so you're wearing flip-flops and socks because it's cold out and you're not worried about fashion. And so you don't even have your hair combed, you have the bed head, and you go to the convenience store and you just got your head down and you're buying some eggs, and who shows up, Andrew?
Well, a friend or
even worse.
my girlfriend?
Your ex-girlfriend. The one you do not want you to see looking like that, looking like a clown. And so there she is, always. That is how fate works. They will be there to show you, you left the house looking like that? And you'll feel like, oh God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, please, can the hellmouth open up and just suck me in? Please, please, please. If that could happen, I would be okay. But it doesn't. You have to go on with the rest of your life knowing that they saw you looking like that. And you feel like, oh God, I just want to collapse, into nothingness. That is a demonstration of how that happens at work. Sometimes you need to all of a sudden have an air of authority with somebody. You need to all of a sudden, because of something that's happening, you need to show people, hey, wait a minute, I'm not that employee. But you can't do it because you realize, I'm dressed like a common employee. I'm dressed like a worker bee. I'm dressed with a bunch of, maybe fun little accessories that I think would be, are really fun and show my sparkling personality. But it shows my personality that I have, let's say last year when I graduated from college, not the one I want next year when I'm hopefully in the position that I'm yearning to be in. So when those positions arise, it's too late, to change your uniform. So watch your physical stance, watch your uniform. Make sure that when it comes time to speak with authority that you watch your tone. And if you are confused or are not really sure about your tone, end on a down note at the end of your sentences. See what I mean? Okay, last and not least, I wrote down a few of these because generally people who believe as though they are being perceived as or feel as though they are submissive are not doing these things correctly. Number one, they are not setting boundaries. And a boundary statement sounds like this. When you want to tell somebody, hey, don't talk to me like that, that sentence, don't talk to me like that, makes no impact. It has no meaning. It doesn't make any sense. If I were to say, that's not very professional, again, no meaning, no substance. People use a lot of phrases, boundaries, what does that mean? Makes no sense. Doesn't mean anything to people. It has no effect because it's really not coming from a place of power or substance. Therefore, when you need to tell somebody, you are crossing boundaries, and I'm not cool with that. A boundary statement sounds like this, okay? I do want to blank, but not like that. But not if you're going to blank, okay? I do want to, but not if yada yada, okay? Repeat that out loud if you're watching this and you believe you have a challenge with this. I do want to yada yada, say that, but not if yada yada, all right? Here's how you fill in those blanks. The first blank is going to be the reward that they are going to get. The reward that you're trying to give people. Because by nature of us communicating with somebody at work especially, the situation will most likely be you are there to serve them. If not, why are you speaking to them? Or they are there to serve you. One or the other. You know what I mean? Generally, we're not just talking to shoot the breeze. If so, we need to get a new job or find some work to do at our current job. Because what we should be doing when we communicate with other people is we should always have a purpose in mind. And the purpose is generally going to be, I'm serving you. What is it that I can do for you? So I'm going to tell you what that will be in the first part. I do want to help you with this problem. I do want to hear all of the things you have to say. I do want to discuss solutions. I do want to fix this issue. I do want to what, okay? But not if you're going to use profanity with me. Not if you're going to be using that tone with me. Not if you're going to hover over me. Not if you're going to talk over me. Not if you're going to not if you're going to speak to me using that volume. So when you put it all together, if you can say to somebody in a very strong way, you watch your posture, you say on down notes at the end of your sentences, and you say, Andrew, by the way, if you want to interrupt somebody, remember, use their name over and over again. Andrew. Thank you. That's, you use their name over and over again, and that gets people to stop if somebody's bulldozing over you. But if you can say to somebody, Andrew, I do want to help you with this, but not if you're going to continue ignoring me. That's a boundary statement. I do want to talk about this and hear everything that you have to say, but not in this manner. Is a good duct tape phrase, I do want to discuss this with you, but not in this manner. Not if you're going to use profanity. Not if you're going to call me names. Not if you're going to speak to me in that tone. Not if you're going to use that volume as we communicate. Not if you're going to block everything that I have to say. Not if you're going to challenge everything I have to say. I do want to what? I'm going to tell you in advance what your reward will be, but not if you continue to do that. That one phrase might be enough. And talk about a difference. When you tell people what the rules are, then they have some guidelines. You know what I mean? Then they know what the score is with you. Most of us go around, and I'm as guilty of this as anyone else, most of us go around wanting other people to communicate with us the way we expect it, or the way we expect to be communicated with. We want something specific. I want you to treat me this way. But we don't tell people what that is. You know what I mean? And the golden rule is we treat others how, Andrew? What's the golden rule? To treat others how?
How you want to be treated.
How you want to be treated. Don't do that, Andrew. That's the problem that a lot of us have. A lot of us. We go around treating people the way we would want to be treated. That's your problem. Because we're also different, right? And what we should be doing is treating others the way they want to be treated. That's the trick. That's what we want. People will say, I'm just not going to go around treating everybody the way that they want to be treated. Why not? That's what you want, right? I mean, whatever your expectations are, they're yours. You want people to treat you the way you want to be treated. So do they. So let's do that. That's very difficult. It's difficult for the average communicator to do that. That's why we want to do things like invest in personality systems, invest in communication strategies to uncover the signs that reveal what people's preferences are. If you do not know what their preferences are, you had better ask. Ask people if they're not coming out and telling you how to communicate with them. But the beauty of these types of tactics is I'm telling you what the expectations are. It is amazing how people start to live up to them when you spell them out. Most of us don't do that. We just go around angry and expecting other people to be mind readers. And my powers of ESP and telepathy and clairvoyance and all of that are vast.
Yes, Master.
But I sometimes need to be told, it's important to me that you tell me you love me and hold my hand as we walk down the street. If you don't tell me that, I could never do it. And then we're spending a lifetime walking down the street side by side, but not together. You know what I mean? Not you, Andrew. We're not walking down the street together.
Oh, okay.
What about what happens?
What happens if what they want is not what you could give them?
If what they want is not what you can give them, that's so wonderful to know. If you're not compatible in a professional, personal, romantic, whatever relationship, if you are not able to give them what they are asking for, wouldn't you rather know that sooner rather than later? You know what I mean? And you can't fault somebody for telling you in an upfront way, I understand that you want XYZ. I don't believe I'm the person to give it to you. I'm not capable. I'm not willing. I'm not able, whatever it may be. You want to know that as soon as possible. I'm not able to commit to being monogamous to you. Wouldn't you rather know that from the beginning? You know what I mean? If somebody's able to be honest like that, that's always the best. And the only way we can even have a chance of getting to that, of getting closer to setting expectations and being honest about how we can meet them, is to spell it out like that. Tell people, I want to love you and be with you for the rest of my life, but not if you're going to continue to sleep with other people. Then somebody could tell you right back, oh my gosh, that's what you expected? I'm not able to give you that. All right, that might sting a little bit, but it stings a lot more 20 years down the road, okay? So, anything else I need to clarify there, Mr. Man?
No, I'm okay, thank you.
Yep. Thank you what?
Thank you, Master.
Mr. O'Connor would do.
Thank you, Master.
I'm very wise, yes. Okay, bottom line statements. Remember these bottom line statements. I don't allow. Say that out loud, Andrew.
I don't allow, Master.
Don't say master if you're going to get the wrong impression. I don't allow. Say that.
I don't allow.
I don't allow. Again.
I don't allow.
I don't allow. The reason you want to repeat these things is because if it's not something that you're used to saying, your mouth is going to reveal that when you say it. So get used to saying things like, Andrew, I don't allow profanity here in the office. Andrew, I don't allow myself to be talked to in that manner, with that tone, with that volume. Andrew, I don't allow name calling here. Andrew, I don't allow people to walk into these meetings late. Andrew, I don't allow myself to be kept waiting. I don't allow, whatever it may be. Tell people what you don't allow. You know what I mean? Like I could use the two together, the boundary statement and the bottom line statement. Andrew.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't allow profanity here in the office. So when you're ready to drop the profanity and use professional language, I'll be ready to continue this conversation. Are you ready now, or would you like to take a few minutes to regain your composure?
A few minutes.
A few minutes. See, when you give people the option, as I just did, I'm a big believer, and it's not about being right, winning. It's not about, if you perceive me to be passive to you, great, as long as we get to the outcome that I'm looking for. It does not change who I am, your perception of me. Sometimes I need it to be a certain way, but I would hope that your perception of me would be who I really am. So I'm going to demonstrate that as much as possible. And if you, for some reason, are perceiving me, because I'm a mirror of you, as somebody who is passive or weak or shady, that's not about me, that is about you. And I have nothing to do with that, and I don't really care about that. If getting to my goal is going to be you thinking that or it's going to require you believing that I'm being submissive to you, that is okay. What do I care about that? But an empowering statement is going to give you the choice. So you may think you're making a choice. I'm the one who's giving you the choice. Take it however you want. When I say to somebody, would you like to continue this conversation now, or would you rather take a few minutes, regain your composure, and come back, and then we'll finish? Would you like to continue this discussion now? Or shall we continue it maybe tomorrow when you've had a chance to think about what I've just said? Would you like to continue this relationship discussion now? Or do you want to go and think about it and maybe we'll discuss it over breakfast? When you tell people, would you like to continue this right now using the rules I just set forth and remembering the rule that you broke that I referenced during my bottom line statement? Or would you like to do this later? The choice is yours, because I've already laid it out to you. What we have been doing up until this point, that is not an option. I'm telling you that. It may have been an option in the past. It may have been an option with other people. It is not an option now with you and me. That's what you want to establish. And you can use those words. Once you have it clear in your mind, I get it. What I'm doing is I'm telling you what the rules are. I'm making them clear. And then when both of us are clear, we can decide how to proceed. It's not fair if only one of us is clear. So I'm going to tell you what the expectations are, what the rules are in communicating with me. Then we can proceed. It may hurt if you say to me, you know what, you're not the type of person I want to work with, but better that we know it and we can go our separate ways than to continue in this relationship that does not work for me or express who I am or help me express what I'm here to do. You know what I mean? You have to have your personal compass made to do these types of things. And yes.
Hey Dan.
Yep.
Laula says, I feel like all those tips are well and good for common sense people, but not for toxic drama seeking people who have power over you because of their position.
Okay, let's say that you have somebody who has power over you because of their position. If somebody is, even if it's your supervisor, if somebody is causing a scene, they're dragging you into some type of drama, remember to use your boundary statements, remember to set your rules, and say to them things such as, if they're going on and on, let's say that you're brought into a fight, whatever, however they do it. If you can find your voice and be able to say to them, excuse me, let's say that Andrew, he's the drama guy of the day. Andrew, excuse me. I don't think I can contribute to this conversation. So I hope you don't mind if I get back to work. And that's a way of saying it without asking permission. I could ask permission and say, Andrew, excuse me, Andrew, I can see that you're very invested in this situation that you have with Joey or with Daniel or whatever it may be. However, I can't contribute to this. So would you mind if I got back to work? I'm getting back to work. Would you mind? However you want to put it, tell people it depends on the level that you want, how strong you want to be. You could say, I don't believe I have anything to contribute to this conversation. So what do you say I get back to work and I'll let you figure this out? I'm guessing if you're remember, the first time somebody drags you into something like that, whether it's your supervisor or not, the first time is about them. The second, third, fourth time, that is about you. Who wrote that? Who wrote in the question?
He said, I did that and my boss just went nuts.
What happened? See, I doubt that you did just that, because if you did that, you would have left the conversation instead of the boss going nuts. And I'm saying that because if it happens again and again and again, and you're saying, this keeps happening, the trigger, the key is in the keeps happening part. The first time it happens, that's about your boss. If this keeps happening, that is about you. Now, let's just say, because I know what that's like. I think everybody can relate to, you're in a job. Not everybody can just say, this is not working for me anymore, goodbye, and you go out and find a new job. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that it's like that. But if you choose to stay in that position or that job or whatever with that boss acting like that over and over and over again, you must be fulfilling the need that they have, or they would not keep doing it with you. They would not. That's an impossibility that somebody would keep coming back to a well that is dry. So whatever it is that they're getting from you, whether it's you're a witness to their insanity, whether it's you're a participant in their insanity, you're a counselor to their insanity, whatever it may be, you are participating and you're doing it willingly over and over again, or it would not keep happening. So I would venture to say that if you stopped and took a good look at exactly what the dynamics are, how do they drag you in? What are they saying? What are they doing? If you decided, remember, to decide is to cut off all other possibilities. If you decided, I'm no longer doing that. I'm going to remove myself from those situations. You could do it by silence. Remember, silence is a huge, huge, powerful tool. If, for example, you were to say, there is nothing I can contribute to this conversation, instead of asking, if you were to say to somebody, I don't believe that there's anything I can contribute to this, so what do you say I get back to work? If they were to say, hey, no, wait a minute. I find it difficult to see a scenario where if somebody were to say, John, we've discussed this before. There's nothing here that I can contribute. I have nothing to contribute here. Therefore, I'm getting back to work. All right? As we discussed, make an agreement with them. As we have discussed before, situations like this I can no longer contribute to, so I'm going to get back to work. And then you just do that. See what happens. Watch what happens, because if it keeps going on and on and on, it's happening again and again and again, you're not doing just that. Remember that over half the time, we think that we're saying something other than what we're thinking. People can come up to us after a situation like this and say something like, did you say this? And we'd say, yeah, that's exactly what I said. Somebody else comes up to us and says, well, did you say this? And you said, yeah, I said just that. And they were two totally different things, because we remember ourselves saying something or doing things that we did not do, because we're communicating unconsciously. But if we're more conscious, and you could say, for example, I delivered a boundary statement, I delivered a bottom line statement, I delivered an empowering statement. That's very different from thinking, yeah, that's what I said. Because most of the time, even though we think it is, it's not. And the next time that happens, remove yourself from it. Remove yourself. Whatever your job is, and I'm not trying to blame it on you, by the way. I understand the technical difficulties that can arise. But remember, that situation is yours because you need to work through it. If you do not work through it and illuminate that battlefield for what it is, John, sit down with John and have maybe a desk script. I'm saying John, whatever your boss's name is. Remember, a desk script is DESC. Describe the problem, the behavior, the effects of the behavior. S, say what you're going to do or what you want, and see what the consequences are. DESC, tell your boss sometime in a non-emotional situation, John, I need your help. Yesterday, when you dragged me into the fight you were having with Trixie, I lost 20 minutes of work and was distracted for an additional 10 minutes thinking about the problem. In the future, when things like that come up, I'd appreciate it if you would respect my wishes, do not be drawn into them, and when I tell you that I'm being drawn into them, to let me get back to work. If we can do that, you and I will never have a problem, and we won't have to have these types of talks again. Can I count on you for that? If you tell that to somebody, and then the next time it happens, you say, John, as we discussed yesterday, I have nothing to contribute here, I'm getting back to work. If they have a problem with that, it's going to be very difficult for them to do anything about it, because you took control, set boundaries, set expectations, and then followed through on them. If this keeps happening, you are not setting expectations, you're not setting boundaries, and you're not following through. Because if you were, it wouldn't be happening over and over again. So that's what I have to say about that. However, if you can leave me, by the way, a video on more specific details of what's going on. If you leave me a video in the comments, oh no, you can't do that anymore, can you?
No, and we got a tip.
Hey, who gave us a tip?
Grant Rennie.
Grant Rennie?
Yes.
Thank you, Grant Rennie. Where's Grant Rennie from? Does it say?
I don't know, but it's in euros, so I think...
A euro? We got a euro tip? Well, hello from across the pond. Thank you very much for that. Rennie with an N?
Grant Rennie, yes.
Thank you, Grant Rennie. If you can leave a video on Twitter, maybe you could tweet me a video of more details about exactly what's going on, and we'll hash it through, because if you're dealing with it, other people are dealing with it. And I believe that everybody here who's here, we're here to share and unite and discuss and empower one another. Every one of us are kind of going through different versions of the same thing. So if you have an issue that's just been eating you up, it's like this one we're talking about, Yep.
Grant Rennie is from Scotland.
Oh, Scotland! I'm part Scottish. That must be the connection that I feel with you. Thank you, Grant. I believe that if you're dealing with something and it's being brought up here, it's because everybody's dealing with it. We're all just dealing with different versions of the same thing. So please express it and share, because other people will really benefit from that. And if you could leave me a video with more details, I'd be happy to give you a video back, and we'll see where we can go from there. What do you say about that? So I have to run, and I apologize. I keep thinking that these are going to be 5, 10, 15, 20-minute videos, and I just enjoy spending time with you all so much and talking about these things that I keep going over. And I know you have things to do, and I know that Andrew has things to do, evidently. And so
Grant gave us another tip.
Another tip? Holy cow! Now that's a Scottishman to be reckoned with. Thank you, Grant. I appreciate that. And is it in euros again?
Yes.
Wow. I got to figure out how this system works, Grant. And Danica is bored. Oh, I'm getting notifications that I can't even read. Thank you, Grant. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Remember, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, check it out, or do that, and check out DanO'ConnorTraining.com. And we are still running a special. Today, I just sent out a special. We're running not only half off the VIP, but an extra $100 off of that. So if you haven't gotten your VIP pass yet, remember, it gives you access to everything from now till the end of time for free.
And remember to follow us on Instagram.
And remember to follow us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And please comment on this video and share it. If you think that somebody needs to hear these messages, share it with them, please. Because that's what really we're all here to do. Share with one another. We're all going through the same stuff, just different forms of it. So for everybody here at Dan O'Connor Training, including Maggie. Oh, wait a minute. Now this is the end. So if we're done with daily business, Maggie has to say hello because she's felt a little bit, just out of sorts lately. So let's get Megs. Hey, Megs. Hey, Maggie. Hey, Maggie. Hey, baby. Oh, honey. Oh, honey, there you are. There you are. Let's see Maggie. Hey, Maggie, there you are. She looks so sad. Look at it. Oh, Maggie, baby. Hi, honey. Oh, my goodness. Watch, Maggie's French, speaking of European. So she likes to say Ashante. Ashante, Maggie. Ashante. Oh, Ashante. Yes, baby. Oh, honey, I miss you so much. She's just not feeling herself these days. I believe that she's going through doggy menopause. Could that be? She's 9. No, she's not. She's 7. How old is Maggie?
She's young.
She's a young. Yes.
She's a young dog.
You're only as young as you feel. I feel about 50. I'm telling you, I've always felt older. Oh, honey. Oh, honey.
She's cold.
She is cold. It's freezing here. For those of you who are interested, I live in the #1 expat community in the world outside of the United States. Up, nestled in the bosom of the Sierra Madre, I like to say. And it's normally the world's one of the most perfect climates in the world.
It's the second.
Who's the first?
Someplace in Africa.
Someplace in Africa. Well, that would make sense. And it's usually the same temperature all year round. We don't have heat or air conditioning. And it's been so cold. It's been so cold that Maggie has been shivering. And I have been shivering myself. I have a jacket on, and I have two heaters, one on each side of me, that I normally have on all the time. So Maggie could be just a little bit cold. Yeah. Oh, she is. She feels cold.
Yeah, she is.
Oh, honey. And then she gets aggravated with that buddy. So I wanted to give Maggie a little airtime because, people ask about her, and I know you care about her. So that was Megs. If anybody wanted to send us a heater through Amazon.
Oh, yes, we are on Lake Chapala.
We are on Lake Chapala. Who's that?
Mike.
You can read that?
Miss Dingo, yes.
You can read that?
Yes, you can?
No. Miss Dingo, yes. We are on Lake Chapala. Yeah. We're in right between Chapala and Ajijic. We're in San Antonio. So for everybody here, oh, by the way, this is my neighborhood. People ask about it, so I'll show you. There you go. It's called Chula Vista. As you can see, the sky is cloudy today, and it's normally not cloudy, and it's just freezing. It's so cold. So for everybody here at Dan O'Connor Training, we're gonna go put on a parka, turn up the heat, and you know what they say, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. This is Dan O'Connor and Andrew signing off.
Nope.